Diary entry number 9, the day I saved him. Welcome back to the Nervous System Diaries. I'm a soft-spoken survivor. Today's entry is called the day I saved him. These are moments in life that stay with you forever. Moments you replay in your mind years later. Moments that change something inside of you. This is one of those moments. By this point, my relationship with number 1, addiction, had taken over both of our lives. Everything revolved around it. Every paycheck, every bill, every argument, every promise, every crisis. At first, I thought I could help him. I thought if I loved him enough, supported him enough, believed in him enough, things would get better. Instead, things got worse. Much worse. I remember one day he forced me to take Molly with him. I had to, or risk getting hurt. What started it was because I was saying how hungry I was. And this was his way of saying, shut up. It was horrible. I never want to feel that feeling again. I only had one. He had like 4, and those were just the ones that I saw him take. Mine had worn off by this time, but he took too many. He became unresponsive. He stopped breathing. I remember seeing his lips turning blue. I remember panic flooding my body. I remember thinking he was dying, and despite everything that happened, I didn't want him to die. All I could think about was his son. I thought about a little boy growing up without a father. I thought about a person who loved him. I thought about what would happen if I did nothing. So I did the only thing humanly possible. I tried to save him. I performed CPR. I begged him to breathe. I fought for his life. Eventually, he came back, and I remember feeling relief. I thought maybe this would change something. Maybe this would be his wake-up call. Maybe this would finally be enough. But it wasn't. There was no gratitude. There was no acknowledgement. No change. Only more addiction. More chaos. More abuse. More promise. He wouldn't even let me call the ambulance. I should have while he was out. But panic does that to you. You live in the moments of what is happening right in front of you. And that's when I learned one of the hardest lessons of my life. You cannot save someone who refuses to save themselves. No amount of love can do it. No amount of sacrifice can do it. No amount of loyalty can do it. The day I saved him, I thought I was saving our future. What I realized was that I was slowly losing myself. It was during this time that I went from a size 14 down to a size 6 in just a few short months. It was so quick that I was pulled into the office at my job and asked if I was sick. This is when I told the second person about the abuse. I wasn't trying to lose weight. There wasn't enough money for food. There was always money enough for pills, but somehow there was never enough money for groceries, never money for rent, never money for electricity, never money for phone service. I worked hard and bringing home around $700 a week. That should have been enough. There should have been money left over, but every week it disappeared. As soon as it hit my bank, he would immediately hit withdrawal on the ATM. Every week there was another excuse. Every week there was another emergency. Every week addiction came first. The bills piled up. The electricity was shut off. The phone was shut off. And then number 1 disappeared again. By then, disappearing had become part of the cycle. He would vanish, leave me to deal with the consequences, and come back later with apologies, promises, and explanation. I was alone in that apartment with no electricity, no food, and no idea how I was going to survive. I remember being hungry all the time. Not the I skipped lunch hungry, real hungry. The kind of hungry that makes your stomach hurt. The kind of hungry that keeps you awake at night. The kind of hungry that makes you feel forgotten. Sometimes when I had access to a phone, I would contact my now ex-husband. Not because I had all the answers, but because I needed help, and I always knew he would help me. But deep down, I think part of me hoped he would look at me and realize how bad things had become. I hoped someone would see me, really see me. I'll never forget one night when he brought me a potato. It was just a potato, but at the time, it felt like a feast. And that's how little I had. That's how desperate things had become. I still had no electricity. I remember trying to cook the potato by running an extension cord out my apartment window and plugging it into an outlet outside in the neighboring apartment. It sounds unbelievable now, but when you're desperate, you do desperate things. Halfway through trying to cook it, the power suddenly went out. I heard voices outside, movement, people talking, and immediately I panicked. I hid, terrified of being caught, terrified of being evicted, terrified of what would happen next. I was already behind on rent. I was already struggling to survive. I felt like my life was collapsing around me. The next day, the apartment manager contacted me. They told me I needed to find another place to live. I told somebody again what was happening. I told them about the abuse, the addiction, the financial control, the chaos. And instead of judging me, they showed me compassion. They gave me time. They gave me grace. For the first time in a long time, I felt a tiny spark of hope. And at the same time, I finally found the courage to open a new bank account that number one couldn't access. One that was mine. Looking back now, that may seem like a small thing, but it wasn't. It was one of the first steps towards reclaiming my life. I truly believed I was finally getting free. I thought this was the beginning of the end. I thought I was about to escape. Then the moving day arrived, and there he was. Like nothing happened. Like he hadn't just disappeared. Like he hadn't left me starving, terrified, and drowning in debt. He walked up smiling, ready to help me move, ready with explanations, ready with promises, ready with love. Or at least what I thought was love. I heard we were moving. I love you. I'm sorry. I was detoxing. I didn't want you to have to deal with it. I promise it won't happen again. Looking back now, I recognize it for what it was worth. It was love bombing. The return, the apology phase, the part of the cycle that keeps people trapped. But back then, I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. Because the alternate was admitting that the future I had been fighting for didn't exist. So I listened. And he came to me to the next apartment. Not because things were better. Not because the addiction was gone. Not because the abuse had ended. But because hope can be incredibly powerful. Especially when you're exhausted. Especially when you're scared. Especially when you've spent your entire whole life trying to earn love. Then knowing that my ex-husband had helped me while he was gone, he took that as his advantage. Because he knew he could manipulate me into getting help. He told me, you'll get that money from him by any means, or else suffer by my hands. I was scared. I had to take advantage of someone that loved me. It hurts me to the core still to this day. It wasn't that I wanted to. It was because I was trying to survive. I felt so bad that I told number one this was the last time I'd do this. If he needed to abuse me, then so be it. But I would never put my ex-husband into that position again. Thank you for listening. I'm a soft-spoken survivor, and this has been another entry into the Nervous System Diaries. Please subscribe, like, and share.